I was like, you know what? I love that for me.
Now we need to get Connie and T on a video and put the two Eddie Kinneys in a video.
Oh my God. Yes. Um,
I think our biggest problem was that we got on FaceTime and talked for like 2 hours, and then we got on and started recording ourselves.
true.
So we'd said everything, and then we're like, and then remember when I said, and then we're like, nobody's gonna remember this. I have to redo everything.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Mondays with Mona. Today we are going to be talking about all things WandaVision.
I think the first two episodes, it's like because like a lot of the actors and a lot even Kevin Feige was like, it's gonna get from normal sitcom to weird slowly but surely. And then they really did deliver on that, I feel like. Because with episode one, you have that one scene with Mr. Hart where he's constantly poking at like Wanda's reality and just like poking holes in everything that she's doing. So Wanda doesn't realize she's doing it, but subconsciously she's like, all right, you need to stop talking now. So you're just going to casually choke on whatever the heck you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So then Wanda makes like maybe doing that subconsciously, but then on the outside, she's like, wait, no, that's bad. You're choking to death. Vision, do something. And Vision, like before she says to do something, just kind of sitting there. And then it's just after that, it just goes back to like, happy-go-lucky, what is it, Dick Van Dyke sitcom?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, what? But you, the man almost died. You can't just ignore that.
Because I watched WandaVision with my mom, and she was saying that the first episode was kind of like, it reminded her of Bewitched, and also there's a show called Leave It to Beaver.
A similar thing happened to me. I was watching it with my dad, and I think it was the intro for episode 2 of that reminded him of Bewitched.
It's a direct reference to Bewitched because my dad noticed the same thing when I watched it with him. So the second episode was definitely the entirety of it basically played off of Bewitched.
The third episode was, she thought it kind of reminded her of the Brady Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 4 didn't have one. Episode 5 was Full House, and episode 6 was Malcolm in the Middle, and episode 7 was Modern Family, mixed with The Office, I think.
I feel like with episode 5, because I remember seeing like a couple articles before WandaVision dropped that the directors and I think some writers were like, doing full-blown Full House is a low-hanging fruit considering Elizabeth Olsen. Mm-hmm. I think the theme song, at least in my eyes, the theme song for episode 5 was the only thing really Full House-esque. A Full House episode would have been kind of funny considering Elizabeth Olsen.
It's just kind of funny because a lot of people didn't realize until WandaVision and then her last name, a lot of people, and then the Full House reference, a lot of people didn't realize that she was Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's sister. I don't know how people didn't realize that.
Because some people didn't watch Full House reruns on Nick at Night, and it shows.
What did you guys think about the Pietro reveal? And like,
because I loved that they brought in Evan Peters, because I loved his portrayal of Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. So like, I got very excited because I remember you calling me and you were like, I know nothing about the X-Men movies. And I was like, I love the X-Men movies. And then when they kind of were like, no, it's not him. It's this random dude. I got very upset.
I'm with you on that. Because I loved it, but then like, oh, it's just some random guy, and I'm like,
you're like, no.
Ralph Boner is definitely a name Peter Maximoff would choose for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, if this is just a dude, I got a really angry letter for somebody because you bring in Evan Peters, you know the impact that's going to have on the fans, and then you're like, oh, this is Pietro, have fun. And then they're like, no, it's not. It's someone named Ralph Boner. You built up all this hype for a dick joke. That is my only beef with WandaVision.
Like, I laughed at it, but then I was like, it better come back later and explain itself, and then it didn't.
The thing is, a lot of people are getting upset over, the whole, Ralph Boner thing and how some of their theories haven't panned out. But I'm like, you guys don't listen to Feige, do you? Because
He's got
what's
a
it
plan.
call it? Doctor Strange is like what, a year away?
Yeah,
And Feige said it several different times. It's like,
multiverse.
yeah,
Yeah.
multiverse, and that all these shows are going to intertwine with the movies.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's like, we might not have all the answers now, but at some point we're gonna get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
As angry as Wanda got, I don't believe she. I don't think
But
Wanda.
hold on.
Yeah.
Wait.
Somebody's saying hold on, and then I hold it for you. Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
The only one in danger of death was Hayward. And that's the funny thing I've seen with WandaVision is that, everyone's like, everyone loved Agatha despite everything, but it's like, Hayward, nope, hate him, hate, all hate.
I think that it's because, well, people hate her character or love her character, but with Hayward, it's and her, the difference there is, though they're both, villain characters, she had a story, to be the villain, and all Hayward wanted to do was make a weapon, make everything that we knew about Vision, right? He said the one thing he didn't want to become was a weapon, and that's exactly what Hayward did. So obviously he's a villain, and we're gonna be upset about it. It's not just. So
Yeah.
I in the finale, I literally like screamed of happiness when I saw my girl Darcy like just ram that car into. I was like, yes!
Same here. I was like, yeah.
I think, like, I hated Hayward for. I at first I remember watching him and like, oh, you're friends with Monica, you're cool, and then slowly but surely he becomes more and more dickish, and I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the worst thing for me that Hayward did is he just kind of took out his gun, pointed it at Billy and Tommy, and it's like pop, 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 pop the entire clip. It didn't hit them because bless Monica's soul, but the
Like,
intent
no
was there.
hesitation. And he was just like, oh.
That's the thing too with like, because Wanda was like, no, get out of my house, but Monica understood where she was coming from completely, and she was like, you were not going to hurt these kids, like, so she sacrificed. She didn't know, she probably didn't know. She'd be like bulletproof or whatever,
Bullet immunity. You have bullet immunity. I'm bulletproof.
but she was going to sacrifice herself for Wanda's kids.
The funny thing is, I don't think anybody, because I remember the kids were also an anomaly within the hex, because when they were trying to gather up, all right, who's who in that hex, and like, missing persons wise, they're like, wait, where did these kids come from? Monica probably knew that there was a good chance that maybe that was just something made there, but it's like, you know what, kids are kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But even then, it's like in that episode, she was like, her kids are hers. That's what. But no, that literally broke me. I saw a TikTok today, and it was like, here, because Billy could read minds, so he knew what was gonna
I
happen.
sent that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it. You sent it to me, and then it came up on my free page. So I got emotions twice for that video.
You're welcome. So yeah, it was like
But I was
It's
like, that's so sad. Who's your favorite Minnie Muff?
Billy.
Billy.
Billy's the psychic one, right?
Mine is Billy, my favorite.
Oh wow, I don't know. I think I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I liked both.
I love how yours are just like, you like both, but all of us were just like, right off the bat, Tommy. I mean, Billy.
See, I've liked Billy since I read the Young Avengers comics. He was my favorite character out of all of them in that. So then when he showed up in WandaVision, I was like, you are my favorite.
But
Yeah.
Billy, from what I understand, in the comics, his abilities are actually arguably more powerful and more potent than Wanda's, because that's gonna be scary. And it's called the Darkhold. Agatha called it the Book of the Damned, and Wanda's just reading it like a magazine in the waiting room, just like,
Oh, yeah.
gonna
Look
get
at
me.
Oh, yep.
Now, what I think this means going forward is that one of two things is going to happen. The main villain for Multiverse of Madness is apparently Nightmare.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is that we got one of two options here. One, that's Wanda's kids, and they're calling out for help somewhere in the vast void of space. Or two, it's Nightmare baiting Wanda, and she goes, she opens a way out, bam, Nightmare dips, and Wanda realizes, oh no, what have I done? Kind of thing.
That's where my boy comes in. Yay.
Oh, Doctor Strange, 100%. Now, the thing is, if it is just Wanda's kids, they're apparently, from what I understand, that book has a price. You want something, gonna cost you.
Because going into the Darkhold, that's a big no-no.
Strange says it in Ragnarok. Correct. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. That he basically keeps tabs on all
It's
magical
Ragnarok.
threats as soon as
Yeah,
they step
it's back.
foot.
Yeah.
Loki
On
steps foot
Earth.
on Earth and he goes, "Why are you here?"
Yeah, he's just
So-
like, why?
Now, my thing is, I know Strange is still a relatively new Sorcerer Supreme,
Yeah.
give or take. So my question is, why didn't he? Why didn't he just show up to help Wanda?
I know, he would have destroyed Agatha like on the spot, but
Yeah. And then also, if Wanda was an issue, because let's face it, listen, I know it was an accident. I know she didn't mean to do it, but you can't ignore the fact that she figured it out at some point that what she was doing. She trapped a town of 3,000 people. That's wrong. A town of 3,000.
It is wrong, but you know, one of the funniest things for me in the show was that in the end, when everybody just looked at her, like just glaring their eyes. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it was. It was just everyone going.
That's gonna be I saw this on Instagram. That's probably gonna be the start of people not liking mutants.
yep.
That's gonna
Magneto.
be the start.
Oh.
But the thing is, though, they didn't get all of that information, right? Like they didn't know anything that she went through or that what she sacrificed, for them to be let go.
Even then, even if they do know, I think some people are just not gonna care. Because again, that is a town of 3,000 people you are holding hostage. Granted, you are not aware of it, but then you become aware of it, yet you continue.
I for sure, and that theory was just wrong. I thought that Dottie was gonna be like someone important, like a villain or whatever, but she wasn't. She was just a normal person. She just wanted to make her character really bitchy, but like she didn't use the kids until episode 6, because I remember Vision was like, why are there no other kids in Westview? And then the next episode,
Kids in West, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. They're kids here.
mhm.
Yeah, and then Pietro's like, "Where'd all the kids come from? Where have you been hiding them? Like, what have you been hiding them under your house or something?" And she was like, "No, they've been here the whole time." And he's like, "No, they haven't."
No, they haven't.
I
Can I
think
just say something random, completely random? I'm sorry. I just love the fact that I snapped my fingers and I have the freaking gauntlet ring on.
Funko Pops released, a set of WandaVision things, another set, and it was Billy and Tommy, and then Pietro Maximoff with air quotes on it. I'm like, oh no.
Also, in the credits for episode 6, when they do like the theme song, they put Pietro Maximoff as himself. They didn't have any reason to put that unless he wasn't himself.
What else? Oh yeah, scariest Wanda moment, because Wanda did not play around
Mm-mm.
in this, not at all. Not the most intimidating Wanda moment, let's say, is that Monica's trying to communicate with Wanda with the drone. Wanda just kind of looks at it. Hayward takes control. It's like, fire the missile. And you're like, oh, wait, what? You're going to do that? That's dumb. You're dumb. That's an Avenger. You're going to shoot. Okay. The feed goes off. There's an alarm blaring, and all you see is Wanda just storming out with the drone in her, old outfit. It's kind of like, yo, your ball landed in my yard. Don't let it happen again. And they all point their guns. They all point their guns at her, and I'm like, for highly trained operatives, y'all are really stupid.
Mine, I would have to say, would have been when she did the head tilt and she kicked Monica out.
The head tilt, whenever it happens, Wanda's about to mess somebody up. To be
Mhm.
completely
Yeah.
fair.
Can we talk
I
about her
think-
new outfit
No,
too?
Oh, her new outfit gives me Magneto vibes.
Mhm.
her new outfit looks fantastic. I mean, I remember I've heard about it a couple of times, but I remember Elizabeth Olsen was not a fan of most of the costumes the MCU gave her because it was a bit too revealing.
This one, it wasn't, and it really.
It's not revealing, but it still looks really good.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. That's the point.
It's got a hood too, which is kind of cool.
but
Because me and Holly talked about that last week too. Like, that's just one thing you put in perspective is like, I remember you said Scarlett Johansson, right? You said that she
has talked on multiple occasions about how uncomfortable her costume is. And that like she can barely move in it sometimes. But I just remember when the first pictures for the Black Widow movie came out, how many women and men too were like, you know, it means a lot that this is the first time that we've seen her costume zipped up all the way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be completely fair, I've never noticed the whole, like, with Scarlett Johansson, I've never noticed the whole, you know, her suit's not zipped up all the way. I'm like, this is just a really good movie and I'm having fun.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
And the thing is, the whole uncomfortable suit thing, it goes not only just with the female actors, but some actors in general with their costumes, depending on if it's a superhero movie or not, they're just not comfortable.
Tom Holland said on multiple occasions too, because he said he showed up and they handed him a bunch of thongs and said, this is what you have to wear when you wear the suit. And he was like, what? And they were like, that's what you wear. And he was like, okay.
Make sure you're able to go to the bathroom in the suit. That's all I got to say. Here's another WandaVision thing. Most absurd theory you thought 100% was going to happen and you were ready to die on that hill. For me, it was Mephisto.
Mine was Mephisto, but specifically that the mailman was Mephisto. Like, I came up with that and I Snapchatted Mona and I was like, I will die on this hill. The mailman will be Mephisto. And then nothing happened.
No,
it was so weird.
I was like, no.
I thought Mephisto was going to show up and be like, hey, I've been screwing with you this whole time. I thought Agatha was going to use Wanda's power to open a portal or summon Nightmare, Dormammu, Mephisto, somebody. I thought she was working for some higher power. Now, granted, that still may be true because from what I can remember, Agatha was trying to warn Wanda about something, but she's like, no, I'll be fine. You're just going to be nosy neighbor now. Shush.
Yeah, she was like the consequences and stuff, and I'm like, oh, Mordo said that to Strange when he screwed with time. So
now let's see. I think we might get to see Wanda again a lot sooner because apparently Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man 3. Because apparently in Spider-Man 3, Strange is going to be involved, and my concern is that because a lot of people are like, oh, Tobey Maguire is going to be in it, all these people are going to be in it. My issue is that it's going to take away from our main Earth. Well, apparently MCU is like 1 minute it's 616, next minute it's like 9,999, whatever. So it's going to take away from MCU Peter Parker, I feel like, if it's really that long of a list for a cast. But I want to see Wanda, you know, get her time to shine again, because I think now that I think a lot of people loved Wanda before, but with WandaVision, everyone's like, oh my God, Wanda, because that was my entire TikTok feed after the finale. It's just like, hey, let's celebrate, you know, how much fun WandaVision was. I think what we need is just more Wanda content, honestly, and more mutant content, because that's another thing they didn't talk about. Wanda and Pietro were the first mutants in the MCU that we know of, because Wanda had powers before. What's it called? Wanda had powers before the Infinity Stone incident.
Yeah,
if I'm right. And even Agatha said it's like, hey, there was something there before that would have just died off, or like you would have just stayed the same way.
And the Darkhold, it has Scarlet Witch in there, and I was like, she was like, oh, the Sorcerer Supreme is like scared of it, and I'm like, hold up, what?
I think what Agatha says is that Wanda has the potential to be stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
With the final fight in episode 9, I feel like the only reason Wanda really won the fight is because she pulled out the rune trick. Agatha had every other advantage: experience, strength not so much. I think it's just really just what mattered in that fight was experience. And because Wanda, for some reason, is like, wow, she's absorbing all my attacks. I'm gonna keep throwing things.
Yeah, but at that point, the runes were already
That-
casted, right?
yeah.
When they got into the sky, but like even like beforehand,
Mm.
Wanda was just kind of like chucking like energy bolts. But I see what you mean.
What was amazing to me, I loved Catherine Hahn and I loved her performance as Agatha, but I was just so surprised as to like, I've seen her in so much stuff and I didn't even realize that
She was in
it.
Spider-Verse. She was Olivia Octavius.
I saw that too. I was like,
My
oh
Blu-ray,
my God.
baby.
No, but she's in one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies is We're the Millers, and she played like the wife to like the cop that was also there. And I was like, I didn't even realize it was her. It's the same thing for me, like with the guy who played Norm. I love his character, and I didn't realize he was in like a few episodes. I think it was in like 1 or 2 episodes of New Girl. And I was just like, I think also fans don't realize too, because I saw another thing where people were saying, oh, we're not going to get another season of WandaVision, or we're not going to get another season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I'm thinking that's not the point. The point is to have the season, for them to explore their characters, and then
Movies to further
gonna,
the story.
It's going to tie into movies. Yeah.
And
your characters develop and then bring that into the movie. And there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then,
yes. Yeah.
I don't think that's the end of Mutants, because if the X gene in Wanda and Pietro were awakened by the Mind Stone, you have to now take into account that half of the planet was exposed to all 6. So that's an issue. You're gonna have to bring in the mutants and the X-Men eventually.
Mhm.
How do you do certain characters with such iconic storylines? Like, if you bring in, let's say, Wolverine, how long has Wolverine been around? Because in comics and in the X-Men films, Wolverine is stupid old. Like,
He's been
from what I
around since
understand-
Revolutionary War.
yeah, and he served. Wolverine served in World War II with Cap and Bucky. Now, if you bring him into the MCU, you can argue that he was in that little 4-year montage that we never actually see the details of.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain characters that you might not be able to lie about, like, Magneto. And if you go with the whole Holocaust survivor thing, which is an important part of his character, did Shield not pay attention to that, or did Hydra not pay attention to that? Honestly,
My worry is they're just gonna they're gonna bring him in, and they're gonna like bring in Magneto, and they're just going to ignore the storyline.
that he's a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, because a lot of people have been making mentions about how they feel that the storyline was erased with Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
And so my worry is that Marvel will just continue to not really acknowledge their original backstories to many of their characters.
And then a little thing that bugs me just personally is that Tom's Spider-Man and the ignoring of Spider-Man's most important character in the entire mythos. Right? I have an interesting relationship with Tom Holland Spider-Man, but that is my biggest gripe. I'm not asking to see Uncle Ben get shot for the 3rd time. I'm asking that you acknowledge his character more than some hinted dialogue between him and Ned in Homecoming, and more than, oh, look, Peter has his suitcase for Far From Home. Like, I get that Tony was his mentor, but I really, really think in Far From Home, where Mysterio is messing with him and says the words, maybe if you were, a better hero, he'd still be alive. You could have A, just shown Uncle Ben, or B, shown both Uncle Ben and Tony.
Mhm.
Like, those, for MCU Peter, Tony was a father figure. But if you included Uncle Ben, you get, like, all right, I can live with this movie just a little bit more now, but that's just...
Well, especially because Tony was such a big deal to him because he didn't have his Uncle Ben anymore. So it's like, make a note of that instead of just not ever bringing up Uncle Ben again. Why is it now going to be such a big hit to him that Tony's gone too? Because he went out and tried to fill that hole in his life and it didn't work.
You also could have done a thing where, Aunt May finds out Peter is Spider-Man. and you know she freaks out because she doesn't want to lose Peter too. It's
I think there was more potential for her reaction to that because they give you her reaction and then the next movie starts and it's like she's just okay with it.
But here's my thing, because
Go ahead.
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, so I can talk about this.
Of course.
But in all aspects of Toby's and Andrew's and Tom's, all of them have their good qualities, and I agree with Holly, like, you know, that it was the fact of like losing Ben, and it's like, and I had seen something, it's like people don't want repetitive material, so that they already got it in with Toby's and then they got it in with Andrew's, right? They're not gonna, you know, go through the whole thing of him getting bit by the spider. It's like everybody knows the story, so it's just at this point it would be like a filler in the movie rather than actual content, because you know it's
I feel
information that people would know.
I understand where you're coming from, but but honestly, like I said before, we're not asking to see, you know, Uncle Ben get shot a third time, and we're not asking to see the whole spider bite. It's just to being repetitive is one thing. Yeah, it's bad, but to completely ignore Uncle Ben as a character, you know, just to not acknowledge him, period.
I don't think I agree with you. That they could have talked about it. But I also think, like, if you think about movies that are in the works, like if you think of Multiverse of Madness, and then you have you know, a cast list, if you're saying Andrew Garfield is going to be in it or Tobey Maguire, like nobody knows if that's true, but if it was, then you're going to get the 3 different versions of Spider-Man. So it's good that all of them, you know, aren't the same.
Yeah.
They all have their, even though it's the same characters, Peter Parker, they all have different storylines, different perspectives on being that hero, you know what I mean?
Yeah, another thing I have with the whole, you know, spider trio might showing up on the same screen, my only issue is that it's going to be purely fan service. Like
I think
I
they're
want
trying to build off of the hype of Into the Spider-Verse. I honestly do, because I said, you know, we're talking about the Uncle Ben thing and like how they didn't really acknowledge it at all with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. They have the scene in Into the Spider-Verse where they're like, oh, for me it was this person, for me I lost this person, and that was what drove me to, you know, make that change in my life to become the superhero that I am. That they're going to basically have the exact same thing if they do have all 3 of the Spider-Men sitting there going, oh yeah, and I lost my Uncle Ben, and that is like
same
too. Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, listen, if that's how we have to get MCU Peter to talk about Uncle Ben, even if it's just for 5 minutes, I'm fine. But I see what you mean. It's like, I want it to make story sense, you know?
You know what I think that the reason that they went the way that they did, like what was it in Iron Man, people said, and Marvel themselves confirmed it, that little kid was Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So I think that was what heavily influenced, you know, the Tony Stark internship and all that kind of stuff.
Where he's like, you know what, that's my hero, I like him.
But the good thing too, you know, about heroes and just Marvel fans in general, everybody can have a different opinion, but there is sometimes, obviously all opinions are different, but everybody has a middle ground where they're like, okay, yeah, I see your point, I can agree with that, but
and just be toxic about it.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
For me, it's Toby is always going to be my favorite in certain regards, and then I feel like killing off Gwen Stacy in only the second movie just felt a little rushed. And you also erased Mary Jane. There was an actress for Mary Jane and everything.
They had filmed scenes and then they got rid of them because I said, you know, that was when everybody, when they saw it, that they had an actress for Mary Jane, they went, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to kill Gwen Stacy. And I was like, okay, like, you know, as long as it makes sense. And then they got rid of her and I was like,
I think you're just killing off Gwen Stacy for the sake of killing off Gwen Stacy at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that in my head that you can rest now, and now I want to.
I was just watching that movie today.
Mona!
I just watched that movie today.
You said it. It's your fault.
It's okay. I'll make you cry when I cosplay that scene.
We won, Mr. Stark. We won.
Stop. I just watched that movie today.
There were 2 tiny 7-year-olds next to me talking the whole time. I'm still a little salty about it.
Oh, that's terrible.
I think one of them might have been 3 actually, because there was one was definitely 7 and then one was 3. And I had a friend with me who was like on the other side of me And every time they talked, he literally had no shame. He'd go,
I'm watching everyone get dusted. I'm like, no, what's going on? This is
As
bad.
soon as I heard Bucky go, Steve, I'm like, oh, they did it.
No, so here's one before we get to the whole my reaction to Peter. You know what makes it worse is that when Groot goes,
Oh,
James Gunn gives a translation. He's like, oh, by the way, the thing Groot says before he dusts and looks at Rocket is dad. I'm like, ow.
that's my heart breaking right there.
I
That's
forgot about that. Oh, no.
The Infinity War itself was like, it's the thing. Did we just lose? And then it's like,
Oh, they
first
lost.
time you
No,
see
lost.
heroes lose a
They
fight.
definitely lost.
It's like, oh crap, they lost. It's like that dread.
Our unbeatable heroes got beat.
But the thing too, because people are always like, it is Quill's fault, and you know what? I could sit here and I could blame him, but then I think about it and I'm like,
It's a
You
human
really-
reaction.
no, but if Strange had already seen what was going to happen, right? So if
This was a part.
he could have stopped him, but he said no.
This was a part of the timeline where they win eventually. And you know what's another thing? Strange had to live out all 14 million of those timelines. So he had to get snapped, killed,
Snapped.
whatever,
Killed, whatever. Like
14 million times until,
I'm jealous though, because he got to watch that movie like 14 million times, and it was different every single time.
And that's another thing I feel like WandaVision could have really done is that Pietro and Vision didn't really interact all that much, despite being, family by technicality.
Yep.
So
But
it's
you
like,
could already tell by episode 6, Vision didn't like Pietro. So
You guys had children. How'd that work? Is what I wanted him to say.
oh no,
that-
I spoke to Mona about it, is that if you wanted to, you could, if Hugh Jackman was up for it, you could have had Wolverine as the grumpy neighbor.
Even just for a scene, it would have been
Yeah.
hilarious.
just for
Here's my pitch.
would have been like
great. The thing, I think, Marvel doesn't just do things, for no reason. So I feel like even though it was a joke, I think that it's gonna have something to do with like the series,
Sure.
like X-Men in the future, maybe. Because they
Um,
wouldn't bring Evan. They wouldn't bring, even though he was still Quicksilver in the other universe, they wouldn't bring him into the MCU for that.
yeah.
That
he's
scene
trying
is
to offset-
horrible. I hate watching it.
Listen, you need to that Tony and Pepper are just going back and forth before yeah
I'm not on my cycle.
yeah.
Not
then
on
he just-
my cycle, Pepper.
Can we just imagine how sad? Like it was sad for
Giving
Peter.
a grown man Motrin. I'm not on my cycle, Pepper.
I don't think anyone. I haven't heard anybody talk about it because we haven't seen Pepper since Endgame. Can you imagine how it's difficult for Peter to look everywhere and it's like, hey, are you gonna be the next Iron Man? And seeing Tony everywhere. Imagine what that's like for Pepper and Morgan.
Oh.
Like,
Morgan.
and this is just me. I feel like on the low, although for Morgan being 5, I feel like she might grow up with a little resentment towards the whole superhero thing because it took away her dad.
Mm.
That would be an interesting way to go about it. I feel like it's a resentment to an extent. The only, even with Peter, if she knows Peter is Spider-Man, right? Depending on how far we get to see Morgan grow up, she's like, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. And then she's like super protective of, and anyone can fight me on this, I will consider Peter the unofficial big brother to Morgan Stark. I don't know. I also feel like because of what happened to Tony, even if Morgan doesn't grow up with this little resentment towards superheroes and she wanted to be like her father, if she has the intelligence capacity to build a suit or she just has one, I don't think Pepper would let her touch it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but do you really think a kid of Tony Stark is gonna
Not be
gonna
certainly.
listen?
Yeah.
See, here's
I
the
mean,
thing.
hey,
Did she get the side of the genetics that actually has impulse control, or did she get a bunch of Tony's genetics? Because that's the question we gotta raise here.
I want to see what they do with Morgan because there's a lot of potential there. Are we all prepared for a possible Cap funeral? I know I'm not.
I'm not.
Because
Don't
if you
even
watch
start me on that. I'm like,
Don't even. No.
because
The thing I'm not prepared for is that somebody said they heard that they're gonna kill off Bucky.
No.
Mona's face.
No, no.
I didn't send you that TikTok because it was pretty sad.
Did you?
is it like a theory or a leak thing?
It's been like theories, but some like basically it's like one of those theories that somebody's like, and I heard from this person who would know because they've seen things, and I'm like, I don't trust it, but now I'm scared.
Oh
If-
no.
I swear,
Bucky?
if they do that, I'm gonna be so pissed. What's funny to me is the fact everyone was like, Wanda just needed some therapy, and then you get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer, and it's just them sitting in therapy.
And then there was a picture that was posted. It's like we needed therapy but got our own show squad, and then
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Sebastian stands like
yeah.
it's all of them standing together at Tony's funeral. It's the we needed therapy, but they said we are gonna get a TV show instead.
And then there's just them.
but I feel like Bucky and Sam are gonna hate each other at the start, but slowly but surely they grasp an understanding of each other, and by the end of it, they're friends. Not best friends, but they're friends.
Yeah, which is why I was like so mad when she died. Like I wasn't even out.
Should have been.
I
Also,
was so mad.
I'm not gonna say it should have been Hawkeye, but
I don't think that the thing is too, I'll joke and I'll be like, you know what?
probably should have been.
It should have been Hawkeye, but in reality, we talked about this last week too. I don't like hating on his character, and I actually do like his character, and I think that there's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
reason.
I love Ronan and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I love it, but I liked Natasha. Just like me personally, I preferred Natasha, so that's why I'm just kind of like should have been Hawkeye. Also, before Hawkeye had a family, I'm 100% certain that him and Natasha had a thing. There was way too much chemistry and tension on Vormir for that not to be a thing.
Also, they gave her an arrow necklace in the Winter Soldier and expected us not to read into that.
Also, apparently in Hawkeye, they're gonna do comic accurate Hawkeye and make him deaf.
Yes, I
We
was talking
talked
about
about
that last week.
this. Yes.
I went on a rant last week about it, and Mona was like, "I didn't know that," and I was like, "I have feelings
Yeah.
about it."
Hawkeye. So I think that's a nice little inclusion to have.
I'm gonna be so happy about that because I didn't know that. And then when Holly said that information, I was like, if that's canonically something that they can put into the MCU, I'm really happy that you said that because I'm
Yeah.
really happy that
That's-
they're inclusive.
Well, and like
They
somebody
did that with Miles Morales. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Peter's like the first time Tony had a son. I'm like, I'm sorry, but have you seen Iron Man 3?
Did you see Iron Man 3 though?
But
Because
since we're-
they mentioned the Sorcerer Supreme in the finale, and I'm like,
I remember Manny too. You were really hyped too because we everybody thought thinking that Doctor Strange would be in it.
I know.
Because people kept saying,
I-
"Oh, there's gonna be a cameo that's was as big
That
and
was-
dramatic as Luke Skywalker," and I was like,
that was Elizabeth Olsen who I believe said that, or
Yeah.
somebody in the interviewer said that. And then Paul Bettany said, "Oh, you guys are on to something." And the thing is, even the director was like, "Nope, Paul dug himself a hole there. Can't help you."
Paul Bettany also said, I'm really excited for people to see, and he meant it as a joke. He said, I'm really excited for people to see this scene in the finale. I got to work with an actor I've been really wanting to work with. And he was making a joke about working with himself. But everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch. We're getting Doctor Strange. And he was really disappointed when they find out I'm talking about me. But
"Oh, I love that one."
was it?
that's
Oh,
purely
then
because
what-
they gave us Agatha all along. And I love
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. I don't like. After hearing it's been Agatha all along on loop for like a week straight, I've started to hate the song.
Yeah, I've grown to
I had a moment, like I didn't like it at first, but I've grown to appreciate it because of the work that Catherine Hahn put into it.
Vision,
You
dude.
call it the MCU, I call it the MC Woo.
I call it the Maku because of the text to speech or the speech to text on.
Miku.
It literally is like Maku. I'm like Maku.
No, but I genuinely like Jimmy Woo. Like he was my favorite out of everyone.
That scene with Norm.
Yeah. Well, because even then, like that was, even as a trained actor and a good actor, like the switch between the tell me this and then the where's my phone, where's my sister, that, you know what I mean, and then going back to like
This.
yeah,
If it's all digital, where do I put the stamp?
what's that? Oh, letter opener, we don't need that, we're already cutting edge. Well, okay, what was your favorite?
It's like you're a walking computer.
It was like, what? No. What? No.
Just a quick thing. Where did Vision get the money to buy a plot of land?
Probably from Tony.
Tony.
Probably
Or not even
Technically Tony's child. Do you know how loaded any of Tony's like children or adopted children basically are?
Also, he's an AI, so he probably just like wired the money.
But the
So,
thing
like,
is, he's
He
three.
makes a lot of money. You're right, Holly. You're true.
Yeah. I would think they pay the Avengers a fair amount of money.
Mhm.
He's about $3 billion
Yeah.
worth of him. I'm sure he just cuts off his pinkies. Like, here you go.
The saddest moment outside of the finale for me, it was when we see Monica in the hospital and everyone's coming back, because that was like the first time anyone actually really had proof that Thanos did kind of have an idea there. When you think of how overpopulated the world is, and when you don't think about it because you think, oh, everyone's coming back and it's a really happy thing, but on the hospital side of things,
it was so stressful. Like, everyone is like, oh,
like, you know, they're probably overpopulated even with the snap. So when they brought everyone back, that creates a whole new set of problems. Yeah. And that to me was like really sad, because then it's like, you know, everyone else was really sad because they lost someone to the snap, but it's like, now imagine these people like Monica who come back and their lives have been destroyed and they weren't even there for it.
I think it was on the Kimmel show, and he was like, why are you guys still in high school? And then Tom goes, why are we still in high school?
Because realistically, Peter would be in his early 20s.
Yeah, he'd be like 21.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
otherwise, technically, he would have, like, there was some plot hole where technically somebody was like, wouldn't he have graduated by Infinity War? And there was like backtracking people had to do. And
yeah.
Oh, weird. Because you get me talking on Spider-Man, you're gonna get so much information.
No, again, I've said it before. It's great when you nerd out. It's great. Love it.
But one of my other favorite things is when he just bitch slaps Flash. Is just like, shh, no. On the bus, he was like, what are you doing?
Go to sleep, and then knocks him out.
Now that we're talking about that, I'll be right back.
But that's the thing. That's always the thing with all versions of Thompson. Oh, someone's phone's ringing.
are we breaking out the glasses, Mona?
All right, so we're doing this.
I like how you had the glasses like right there, Holly.
Because this is where I sit for my Zoom classes, and these are my blue light lenses.
That's kind of cool.
I need more information on the Bumblebee thing. Oh my god. Okay, I thought that you were talking about Dylan O'Brien, and I was like, when did this not come up?
No, I did not meet Dylan O'Brien. I met the adult
that
man who voiced
movie.
Bumblebee and Megatron in the original Transformers movies, but he's more known for Bumblebee.
I also
I would have been like, Holly, if you did not tell me that you met Dylan O'Brien.
I did not meet Dylan O'Brien, because if
that
I met
moment-
Dylan O'Brien, that would have come up because I'm a huge Maze Runner fan.
Hold on.
Same.
It came with like a little Miles Morales figure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was saying cute and cool at the same time, and it came out cute.
Cute.
We also have
Yeah.
The thing, you know what? The thing I wish they would have kept in Endgame is when everybody was knelt and
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
I go on.
That would
I
have
went on a
been
rant about
that-
that because it's already a 3-hour movie. What's one more minute?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like that was only like a minute long of just them kneeling. I didn't know.
And it really showed you
Tony.
a
what's his-
king, like
Even
balance him.
Strange, who butted heads with him for
Mhm.
like so long.
You should
Do it. She did it to
Oh.
me, and I watched both movies.
He's already done it twice. Although, like the first two movies we watched was super bad, and what was the other one? Oh, Alexander, No Good, Terrible, Very Bad Day.
Watch
I'm not
Bumblebee at
complaining, though.
movies.
Yeah, I'm
What?
not complaining because I actually enjoyed it, and like I'm a fan. now.
Yay!
I
Yeah.
know eventually she's gonna be like, hey, can we watch it? And I'm like, you know what? It's gonna make you happy, so sure, I will. I went to a comic book store with a friend of mine some time ago, and I picked up the first 3 issues of Deceased, and they're all variant covers. And I showed Mona this, I think, one of the times we first started talking. It's a Joker variant cover.
Oh, that is dope. I like
And the
that.
thing is, it's Robin. If you zoom in, you can kind of see Joker's face on it.
That is pretty
So
cool.
cool.
That is
The
cool.
thing for me, I'm not scared of Pennywise, but if you're talking about the remake Pennywise and the difference between him and the original 1990s one, the 1990s one terrifies me because
That's kind of the original. There's something about it where it's just like
I will watch
Mona and T got me to watch it.
and
So I was just
if
like,
I don't have nightmares,
whatever.
then I will go see the second one. And then I said, if I'm gonna make good on this promise, I should probably read the book. I got the book on my phone. I read it in like a week and a half, and I said, okay, I'm ready, and watched both of them in a day. We watched one, watched all the bonus features, went to Olive Garden, went to Spirit Halloween, and she scared the shit out of me with the Pennywise animatronic. And then we went to the movie, and then I drove her home at like 11:30 at night, and a bat flew into my windshield, and I freaked out.
Damn.
It was an experience.
What a night.
No, I have a paper copy of the book because I want to draw in the margins and fill the whole thing with drawings.
I'm sorry, you lost me at bat in the window.
It was so scary. Because like none of the street lights worked on that road either. Audio.
Mona, I just saw the thing.
But I
you
want to do
sent
it in person.
in the group chat.
Yeah, I know. The thing that Holly said, she was like, the bat flying into her car, that is as much, and I know it was terrifying, Holly, but that was as much funny as it was for what we were laughing at yesterday, which was
Oh my
just
God.
quite literally the word ew.
I'm surprised
Because I did an
we all-
impression and I wheezed and she kept
That's-
replaying. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And we were just,
Thing is, I'm assuming you guys
we
are all
lost
in.
it.
Those kind of things, it's still funny because it's like,
Yeah. Because Eddie is just like, in the corner. Like,
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Mona's like one of those, both of our lists are like one of those infomercials that every 5 minutes you're like, and that's gotta be the end. But wait, there's more.
Mona, I figure you like this since it's Tom. Or it's Tom Spider.
oh my god, I love that.
These
I
particular-
want it.
Wanda, I don't know. I like the fact that they started to bring back the accent whenever she's in like a state of like it sucks that it has to come out in states of stress or like of anger. But it's there.
Winston, the picture's on the back of the box. It's a Japanese garden.
What's it gonna look like? Winston, the picture's in the box. It's a Japanese garden.
You know, can I tell you what my favorite Schmidt quote is, Holly?
What is it?
Wait, I gotta get up for this. Be my girlfriend. Cream cheese and
He's in both.
Be my girlfriend. What's that all about? Cream cheese and both.
That and I really like when he goes, are you good?
You should put on the glasses, Holly.
I don't know, I can get my little out.
Oh, the hand things.
Yeah, I made him out of cardboard.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Monday.